What's dangerous is when the universe pick you and you put on the magic glasses. There's rules that go with them. You can never take them off. You never see things as they're supposed to be. You see things as they are. And you can never force nobody else to wear them.
I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, yeah. During the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubts, but they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out, and I don't understand. Roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. I have my doubts, so I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. Messed up and out of touch, let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think while I lie awake and contemplate at night are wearing me out.
Pushback for the local bus company at the center of a...
Sorry about that. I was bringing up an article just as the intro was playing there because, yeah, that's, yeah, whatever. But we'll get to that. We will get to that. First, got to take care of the important stuff first, right? And so I think that I think we need to start taking up a collection. I'm serious. I mean, maybe I could like do a Give, Send, Go or a GoFundMe, if you will. I don't know, but taking up a collection for tampons for the little bitch prepper channels. I mean, I don't know what else to do. Man, I'll tell you what, they will come up with anything, will they not? I mean, it's ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. And I knew it. I knew that the moment that, different social media platforms went down today, I knew that, oh my God, it's Super Tuesday. Oh, because, voting takes place on meta platforms, obviously. No. What happens when you have a wide outage like that? It's something called authentication servers, okay? Everyone was logged out of the different platforms. All meta platforms. That should be a clue. I can't authenticate. Duh. And I get it, okay? Not everybody's a web admin. Not everybody. I get that. So then why do we run to YouTube? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And yes, I'm going to come down hard on them. This is nonsense. Since when do we live in a society that promotes stupidity? That props up stupidity, and especially a prepping community, people that are supposed to be using their heads, people that are supposed to be on top of their game, mentally, intellectually, but because it's all they know. Folks, we have to get past this idea that because somebody can attract a bunch of viewers on a social media platform, that means that they know something. Look at how many subs Angry Prepper's got. The dude can't even complete a sentence. Seriously, he cannot even complete a sentence. Now, last I checked, English wasn't a necessary requirement for survival, but common damn sense is, and there's not a lot of it. But folks need to understand that this whole yanking people's minds one direction and another just because that is what the masses want. Let me tell you something. In masses, the M is often silent. And if you want to, if you want to try to collect as many of, because people are stupid when they get in groups. And that's a fact. That is a fact. And if you want to appease that, if you want to attract that, that should speak enough for itself. Look, if I want to put together a group of highly skilled individuals, and it doesn't matter highly skilled in what, that doesn't matter. If you want to put together a group of highly skilled individuals in any field, you don't just open the doors for anybody that can walk in. You're supposed to be a little bit choosy. You're supposed to pick from those that are the best candidate for that particular task. So, by coming on the YouTubes and just opening the floodgates and trying to attract as many people as possible, that should speak for itself. Look, we are reaching the levels of stupidity that was going on in Rome, and I even have an article about that. And it's no coincidence or anything like that. happens to be. But we are very, very much like Rome today in several ways. Whether it be the bread and circuses, whether it be the promotion of stupidity. If you truly want to be prepared, and if you truly want a chance, you're gonna have to reach higher than that. You're gonna have to reach for the highest damn bar you can find. And understand the entire way, you're gonna have people trying to pull you down. Why? Because they can't reach that high, and they damn well don't want you reaching up there either. What a lot of folks don't realize on YouTube is I understand the game. I'm just not going to play it. It's that simple. I saw countless videos today from different channels talking about, oh my God, it's this, oh my God, it's that. And that's why I had fun with it. I had fun with it. Why? Because it wasn't the end of the world. It wasn't an attack on our democracy, right? It wasn't an attack on the election system. It wasn't an attack on whatever. I mean, hellacious attack to take the entire world out off the platform's authentication server. These major networks are huge. And they have huge server banks dedicated to just one part of the overall picture. And so when something like an authentication server goes down, that's what you're going to have happen. I think what likely happens, they probably pushed a buggy update. And, I mean, that makes sense that they would have pushed a buggy update, and then every one of their platforms just fell flat on its face. But it wasn't that big of a deal. I had fun with it. Why not? The thing that bothered me the most and worried me the most, to be real honest with you, was my headset, my Quest 2 headset. Because of course I couldn't log into it either, because it's part of Meta. And so I couldn't log into that. And then when Facebook came back up and everything, it was telling me that I had to relink my headset to my account and all of that good stuff. And so I was just a bit concerned that maybe I was going to screw something up with that. And, it just means that anything I have, anything I own, I no longer have, I no longer own, you know what I mean? But I managed to get it connected back up, because I got logged in. That was no sweat. It was the linking of the two that I had problems with. But I managed to finally get it to link, and it's all good. And I got my face blown off in VTOL VR. That was a bunch of fun. I really need to learn how to evade those missiles. And instead of just staring at the screen going, oh, yep, there's one coming at me. So anyway, I don't have a ton of stuff, but I do have an article involving the Facebook ordeal. And then, let's see, I've got a total of 7 articles up tonight. And just run through them and make it an easy night. They're kind of all over the place, the articles, including, check this out. There's some dude in Russia that is recommending that they should start taxing the childless people. Meaning if you don't have a kid, you pay an extra tax. How do you like them beans? I can see that kind of nonsense coming to the United States. I really, truly can. That's almost par for the course, to be honest. But that, and then, I don't know. I guess there were some accusations we had F-35s over Ukraine, and that's not the case. Believe it or not, F-35s aren't invisible. Not to Russia. So, kind of, oops. No, they don't put F-35s anywhere that, I'm sure that they are over Israel. I have no doubt, or, Gaza and all of that. I have no doubt of that. But no, they're not putting those kind of assets over Ukraine because Russia would know it. Russia can pick up the F-35 with the S-300 system, no less the S-400 and S-500 systems. So, I mean, we've been behind on the stealth game for a while too, and you can thank the Clintons for that. Absolutely thank the Clintons. Speaking of the Clintons, been watching a documentary series, and last night was an episode that talked about, I guess, the death of 2 kids, and they apparently, of course, it was in Arkansas, and I guess they were killed by a train, apparently, or, well, maybe not killed by the train, but they got hit by a train, and apparently there was a big cocaine smuggling ring or something. I mean, this sounds to me just right up the Clintons' alley. And so apparently the police and all that were trying to cover up their deaths, and there was a point in which the train conductor, the engineer, had said that he saw a tarp over top of the boys. Now, of course, I'm sure he didn't know at that particular moment that there were 2 teenage boys under there. I think they were teenagers. And, but he did see the tarp. And he even showed somebody where it was that he had told the cops that the tarp was after, obviously, the train had hit the bodies. And so anyway, one of the bodies had stab wounds. The other one had considerable damage to the head that I'm assuming was before the train had hit him. So just kind of crazy. So they even had an episode last night about HARP, which was really interesting. It was called, what is this documentary called? Hang on, I'll tell you. It's not, it's like a series, a documentary series. I can't remember. It's got an easy to remember name, and I'm just not remembering. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Phenomenon. That's the name of the series. It's on Amazon Prime. Phenomenon. And, yeah, interesting. A really, really interesting series. They had one on HARP. That was called HARP Holes in Heaven. And then the one with the 2 young men that were found dead on the tracks, that one was called American Midnight. So, episode 4. So, yup. Anyway, and I'm trying to get a couple snippets from the HARP one, because there was some really good, interesting stuff in there that even more or less relates to today. And we're talking about this documentary series is so old. It's in the 4:3 format. It's not even in the 16:9 format, the widescreen that we're used to. So that tells you that, and I think maybe they might have mentioned, possibly mentioned 9/11. So it would be right around that time, real early 2000s, or, definitely not late 90s if they did mention 9/11, but right before the large transition to the widescreen TVs and monitors and whatnot. So I remember that time very well because they were just coming out, let's see, right before 9/11, me and the woman I was with, we were buying a house, and we went and bought a computer system, and we had debated that, whether or not we wanted to get a widescreen. Well, 19-inch computer monitors were the biggest you could get, and they were expensive as hell. And so we got the 19-inch computer monitor, NEC, biggest piece of crap ever. We went through 3 of them, and yeah, that was messed up. But yeah, that's the computer I was on when 9/11 happened, actually. So that's where I found out about it, was on the internet. So I was actually in a chat room when another guy that was a common, member of the chat room came in, and he first mentioned it, and then that's when I started hitting news websites, and we're talking back in dial-up days, so, you know. Oh, you remember that, huh, Kevin? Yeah, I don't remember it from back like when it happened, but yeah, it was a really good episode, and it really kind of, you know, leads to a lot of questions. Have a sip of coffee here. Oh, man. We'll get on these stories and... Okay. Looking to see if my little pod e-cigs charged. They finally did. Took them a while to charge this evening. Okay. Facebook and Instagram restored after users report widespread outages. Says here, Meta says its Facebook and Instagram services have been restored after more than 500,000 users reported widespread issues earlier in the day, with many saying they were booted out of the social media platforms and unable to log back in. And that's exactly what happened. I just happened to look over, and my Facebook, I have the dark mode, you know, and because I like the dark mode on pages, if you can't tell. But so anyway, I looked over and noticed the page was white, and that was the first thing that got my attention, because mine's not. It's like whatever, really dark brown or whatever the hell color that is. It's not. I don't think it's a gray. I think that's a brown. But anyway, it says Down Detector. Let's see. A site that monitors internet service outages on Tuesday said it received more than 500,000 reports of problems by U.S. Facebook users and more than 70,000 reported problems with Instagram as of about 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. The most frequently reported problems were logging into the Facebook app and issues with the Instagram app, according to Down Detector. And I was one of them. That's the first place I went after I started having issues. I went straight to Down Detector because, well, it just makes sense. Earlier today, a technical issue caused people to have difficulty accessing some of our services, a Meta spokesman said in a statement on Tuesday. We resolved the issue as quickly as possible for everyone who was impacted, and we apologize for any inconvenience. Facebook users from across the globe reported that they were unable to log into the service, ranging from Egypt to Oklahoma, according to Down Detector. Some of the people on social media expressed concern that their accounts had been hacked because they had been booted out of the service and were unable to get back in with their passwords. Yeah, I was one of them. The first thing I did was try to log back in, and I didn't. I'm like, oh no, man, are you serious? And that's exactly what I thought it was, because I couldn't authenticate my account in any way. So then I went to Down Detector. But it says Meta platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and Threads, are currently experiencing outages related to login sessions in multiple countries, incident not related to country-level internet disruptions or filtering, according to NetBlocks, a global internet monitor, on X earlier Tuesday. MetaQuest artificial reality headsets were also signed out, according to the tech site 9to5Mac, and I can attest to that. WhatsApp, which is also owned by Meta, appeared unaffected. The issue represented a major outage incident, wrote NetBlocks Director of Research Isaac Mader on X during the service interruption. Even the company's official status page was currently showing status unknown across the board, and that was true. Although if you refreshed it, it would show at times different things were up. Mainly, the only things that I saw up whenever the outage was going on, oddly enough, was their ad manager and their ad platforms. Those were, they were at least intermittent during the big outage. Imagine that, huh? A senior official with the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency told reporters Tuesday that the agency was not aware of any specific election nexus nor any specific malicious cyber activity nexus to the outage. Now, let me tell you something. with the way that this media likes to fearmonger, and with the way that the government and the media likes to use any little incident that they can get their hands on to push their agenda further, you don't think that they would use that if it was a result of hacking. You don't think that they would use that. They will not let a crisis go to waste. You can guarantee that. Says the outage came just ahead of Thursday's deadline for large technology companies to fall in line with the European Union's new Digital Markets Act. To comply, Meta is making changes, like allowing users to separate their Facebook and Instagram accounts so personal information can't be combined to target them with online ads. Remember what I said about they probably pushed an update? They probably pushed an update. It's not clear whether the outage is connected to any preparations Meta might be implementing to adhere to the law. Facebook has more than 2 billion daily active users worldwide, according to Meta. So, again, likely just a push of an update in order to be compliant. I mean, that would make total sense as to why. And that even, and they didn't have that part in there. They didn't have that part in there when I looked earlier. And that would make total sense as to why their authentication servers is what was hit. So, would make absolute sense. Because if they have to separate all that info, then that means they have to be two totally different authentication systems, right? And that's not the way that it currently is, not for me. If I log into Facebook, guess what? I'm automatically logged into Messenger. And if I had an Instagram, I would automatically be logged into that because they work together. That's just the way it works. So if they're separating those because of the new EU laws, that means that's what it's going to affect, would be your login. Not rocket science. I get that, how websites work isn't necessarily what I would call common knowledge. But at the same time, it's like folks run to the worst case scenario. And that's the first thing they go to, is worst case scenario. Drama queens. That's the only thing, and that's why I said we need to take up a collection and start buying mass amounts in bulk tampons for these folks, because if they're going to be little bitches, drama queens like that, we might as well just give them what they need. Anyway, it is what it is. I'm not going to be nice about it. I am not. Enough's enough. Enough's enough. And if they're going to keep up with the nonsense, then they damn well deserve to get mocked for it. That's all there is to it. Tucker Carlson compares U.S. to Roman Empire. Abso-freaking-lutely. Allowing illegal migrants into the U.S. military as a means of granting them citizenship will lead the country towards inevitable collapse, former Fox News host Tucker Carlson said in a video posted on X on Tuesday. In the clip, Carlson recalled the fall of the Roman Empire, stating that while historians have long debated the reasons for the collapse of one of history's most powerful empires, one fact has been pretty obvious. The Roman military, its legions, became dominated by non-citizens who, in the end, because they weren't loyal to Rome, turned against Rome's citizens, he explained. Now, that's something folks need to pay particular attention to, because I don't know the inner workings of Rome. I don't know if that was the intent of Rome's leadership, but I can damn well guarantee you that's the intent of the U.S. leadership, to be able to use those individuals against the American citizens themselves. Look, that's one of the things that the Founding Fathers warned about, and that's why they didn't want the type of standing armies that even we have today, because the Founding Fathers didn't want those militaries to be turned against the people. And they have been long, and it's not necessarily that the military branches have been turned against the people, but intelligence has. And who do you think is largely in control of what the military, the actual militaries, do. Intelligence. Carlson went on to say that this course of events was similar to what was currently happening in the U.S., which he claims has been flooded with illegal aliens, over 7.2 million since President Joe Biden entered office, according to the White House's official estimates. That number is greater than the population of 32 states, he noted. But the main issue, according to the former Fox News host, is that instead of deporting illegal immigrants, Congress is entertaining the idea of enlisting them into the U.S. military. One such proposal is the Courage to Serve Act, introduced by Pat Ryan, a Democratic congressman from New York. The bill would offer qualified and vetted migrants an expedited path towards citizenship if they serve in the military. Ryan said, noting that the U.S. military fell short of its recruiting goals by around 41,000 in 2023. Well, maybe that wouldn't be the case. The whole damn thing is upside down. Carlson, however, vehemently rejected the idea, arguing that the military's struggle to meet recruiting goals is a result of intentionally alienating white American men who has always made up the majority of the country's fighting force. I can't really speak to that because I don't actually know the actual numbers, but I do know that there was plenty of well-melanated individuals that fought in Vietnam. So I can't speak to that because I don't know the numbers. But instead of addressing these issues and figuring out why young Americans don't want to join the armed forces, Carlson claimed that Congress has decided to allow an invasion of the country, not use the military to stop it, and then populate the military with people who are invading the country and hope for the best. Former U.S. President Donald Trump warned last month that America would collapse if Joe Biden remains in office following this year's presidential election, suggesting that the country will have over 18 million illegal migrants by the end of the year. With 4 more years of Biden, the hordes of illegal aliens stampeding across our borders will exceed 40 to 50 million people, Trump claimed, saying healthcare, education, and Social Security will collapse under the pressure. So I don't know how these particular things are not going to collapse as it is. I mean, it's insane. Coffee, because that's not insane. All right. This is the article I was telling you about with the Russian psychologist. It was a psychologist, obviously. Tax childless Russians, says psychologist. They're trying to encourage Russians to have more children. And now, I don't know that the U.S. would be likely to encourage people to have more children. However, the American government does like to punish people. And what better way to punish people than charge individuals that don't have children so they can give the money to the families that do? I mean, come on. Look, isn't that pretty much the status quo at this point? They might as well just say the quiet part out loud, right? Russia should revive the tax on childlessness, which existed during the Soviet era, Dmitry Dulin. Now, you hear that? During the Soviet era, which was what? Oh, communist? Ah, yeah. The Dean of Extreme Psychology Department at Moscow State University of Psychology and Education said in an interview on the Gazeta.ru news website or outlet published on Tuesday. According to Dulin, the childless subculture, which refers to people who intentionally refuse to have children, poses a threat to traditional values and impacts the birth rate in the country. Well, see, here, at least I can only speak to here. I know that this is an issue across the planet, though. There's a lot of men that, no. because men are getting strung up left and right, and that's how it's being done. So the intelligent men are saying, no, not going to happen to me, homie. Maybe we need to stop punishing fathers. That's not going to happen, though. Not anytime soon. We have repeatedly conducted research related to this phenomenon and came to the conclusion that it poses a huge danger to our society. In addition, sometimes the enthusiasm for the cult of childlessness reaches extreme forms like full-blown hatred towards children, he said, noting that in some cases the latter phenomenon can lead to aggression against both children and pregnant and postpartum women. Now, I don't know if I necessarily believe that. I think that it's probably likely a lot the same over in Russia, that men are getting strung up by the nads, by the family court systems, if they do have kids. Doolin proposed introducing measures to dissuade people from refusing to have children. You have to have children so that we can string you up by the nads with the family court system. It is necessary to effectively influence those organizations and citizens that distribute destructive content and promote childlessness. In Soviet times, for example, there was a tax on the absence of children. It is necessary to carefully study all the accumulated experience, including that of other countries, he stated. So again, trying to punish people without children so that they pay for the people that have children. Sounds a lot like the U.S. now. In addition to this, he noted, there should be an educational program aimed at boosting the appeal of having a family and children. Young people need to be taught the value of family relationships, and the right examples should be set, Doolin said. And I can't argue that. We need to bring back the family. We need to start promoting the family instead of this single parenthood nonsense. But that was all done on purpose to begin with. So, how do you fix a problem when the problem was intended and still intended? It is not the first time that idea of taxing childless people has been raised in Russia. In December, lawmaker Evgeny Fedorov, I don't know how to say that, also proposed reviving the tax, claiming the funds gained could be used to finance welfare programs for helping families with children. Now, what did I just say? The original tax on childlessness was adopted during World War II and existed until the breakup of the Soviet Union. It applied to men aged 20 to 50 and married women aged 20 to 45 who did not have children. Russian demographics had been plagued by a plunging birth rate for years, according to preliminary statistics from the Federal State Statistics Service. 1,264 million children were born in Russia last year, a record low since 1999. According to an earlier report by RBK news outlets citing official birth rate projections, the number of births in Russia will continue to decline through at least 2026. Again, stop stringing up men by the nads. I don't know what else to say. When you make it such a dangerous proposition, anybody with any common sense is going to abstain. Just the way it is. Clearly, you can't expect people to do the right thing and not take advantage of that type of system. Look at what's happening in the U.S. It's not by accident. So, the wicked witch quit, apparently. Victoria Nuland says U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Victoria Nuland is poised to leave her post in the coming weeks. Yay, yay. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has announced. The senior official, widely regarded as a foreign policy hawk, played a key role in the Western-backed coup in Ukraine in 2014. Wonder why the rat's running. In December 2013, she visited Kiev with late Senator John McCain to hand out pastries to armed protesters in the city's central square. Days before the February coup, as orchestrated mass murder gripped the city, she was recorded discussing how to midwife this thing, and then U.S. Ambassador to Kiev Jeffrey Pyatt reported exclaiming, "F the EU," when it came to a choice of new leader in the war-torn country. Nuland resigned from the State Department during the Trump administration, taking the helm of the Center for New American Security think tank before joining the Albright Stonebridge Group and the board of the neoliberal National Endowment for Democracy. She rejoined the government after President Joe Biden's inauguration in 2021. She has worked on arming Ukraine and assembling a Western coalition that would supply Kiev with weapons and ammunition for the conflict with Russia. Last month, she pleaded to Congress to approve $61 billion in funding to Ukraine, arguing that most of it would be going right back into the U.S. economy to create jobs in the weapons industry. Her most recent trip to Kiev involved intervening with President Vladimir Zelensky on behalf of General Valery Zaluzhny, though to no avail. Zaluzhny was subsequently fired. I'll get it right. In a CNN interview at the end of February, Nuland admitted the defeat of U.S. efforts toward Moscow, acknowledging the target of her policy is not the Russia that, frankly, we wanted. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova attributed Nuland's exit to the failure of the anti-Russian course of the Biden administration. Blah, blah, blah. Just get the witch off my screen. I'm not a fan. Not a fan at all. And all those organizations and nonsense she's been a part of should not even exist. This stuff needs to stop. Because every time there's another organization like that, that takes more power away from the American people. That's not how this government's supposed to be run. This government's supposed to be run by you and I's decisions, not on what the hell this organization or that organization. I mean, when you literally have people like that are going into other countries trying to affect what happens in those countries, to me, that in itself is a form of terrorism. It's just a soft terrorism. Soft terrorism to feed the hard terrorism. I need nicotine. Let's see. No F-35s over Ukraine, said Pentagon. Like I say, they stick out like a sore thumb. The U.S. had denied flying F-35s over Ukraine after Singapore's defense minister Ing Hen claimed that the advanced fighter jets were being used to monitor Russian troops in the region. Ing Hen made the remarks last Wednesday while speaking in the national parliament about the importance of long-term planning in the defense industry. He in particular mentioned that Singapore was closely evaluating the U.S.-made F-35, especially when it comes to use in real-world conditions. He noted that the U.S. has used the F-35 not only to target Islamic State terrorists in the Middle East, but also to locate and identify surface-to-air missile sites of Russian units in Ukraine, adding that this reconnaissance was later shared with NATO members. He did not say whether an F-35 ever entered Ukrainian airspace or if its flights were carried out over NATO territory. On Monday, a spokesperson for the Pentagon declined to comment on the minister's remarks, but stressed that I can confirm that the U.S. does not fly F-35s in Ukraine. Last March, the website, whatever the hell, however you want to say that, reported citing Colonel Craig Underhill, the commander of the 388th Fighter Wing, that the U.S. used F-35 to gather reconnaissance on threats in Ukraine and the Russian exclave of Kaliningrad. The fighters were able to locate and identify surface-to-air missile sites and pass that information to the rest of the coalition, the article said. However, while Andrel stressed that the F-35 could be a formidable formidable war asset without firing a single shot due to its intelligence gathering capabilities, it sometimes struggled to snoop on Russian positions. The colonel recalled that the F-35 had failed to identify a Russian S-300 missile system because it was potentially operating in a war reserve mode that we haven't seen before. Since the Ukraine conflict began in February 2022, NATO has increased its air presence in Eastern Europe, deploying additional fighters and surveillance aircraft. The U.S.-led military bloc is using airborne warning and control system aircraft equipped with long-range radars to conduct regular patrols. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said last year that NATO countries were acting as if they were Russia's enemies, noting that the reconnaissance is operating around the clock against Moscow. Meanwhile, the West is also planning to provide Ukraine with F-16 fighter jets, which are widely expected to arrive later this year. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova has warned that those aircraft would be legitimate targets for the Russian military, adding that such a move only increases the risk of a direct clash between Russia and NATO. And, what it was saying about the AWACS aircraft, that's how they're gathering information, not with F-35s. F-35s are swell and all, but they don't have the reconnaissance gathering abilities like an AWACS aircraft does. I mean, not even close. They are absolutely using AWACS. They're using a lot of AWACS, and just like it says, around the clock. If you pay any attention to Monkey Works channel, which I do, you would know that they're running AWACS aircraft around the clock. They're running drones around the clock. F-35s, not so much. Not that that would necessarily be on his sky glass, but nonetheless, they're not doing it. They're not doing it. They're not as invisible as what one might think. So I thought this article was interesting. Let me have a sip of coffee and a couple of vapes. Now, if there was anything that might cause me to look at it kind of sideways and wonder what individuals might be up to, it's this. Because this is certainly par for the course. Iranian spy on mission to kill U.S. officials, says the FBI. The FBI has alleged that an Iranian intelligence agent is recruiting operatives in the U.S. to help kill current and former government officials who were involved in the January 2020 assassination of Tehran's top general. Mahid Destjani Farhani, and I don't know if that's how it's said or not, is wanted for questioning in connection with the plot to target U.S. officials, the FBI's Miami office said in a post on X. An FBI wanted poster for the 41-year-old Farhani claims that he has acted or purported to act on behalf of Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and Security while recruiting individuals for operations in the U.S. Farhani is engaged in lethal targeting of U.S. senior officials, including members of former President Donald Trump's administration. How much of a quinky-dink. To take revenge for the killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Quds Force, the FBI claimed. Soleimani was killed in a U.S. drone attack, you know about that. And it just goes on to say, back up the story about it. Look, if there's anything out of all the news going on that I would say that I would suspect something to be up with, it's this. It's this. Not saying there is anything associated with the Democrats or the left and targeting Trump in this kind of manner, but if there's anything in the news that would make me suspicious, it's just this. There's not a whole lot, that I can see other than the obvious stuff that they're doing with all the court case, all that nonsense. And that stuff's obvious. But this to me smells of of laying groundwork. So, we'll see. We'll see. I thought this was a bit crazy of an article. It just came out like right before I started the show. You heard the news thing playing during the intro. It was from this page here. And I don't, I wasn't there. I can't say. But I had to do this article because it's just kind of whack. Oh gosh. That's crazy there. Dad drugged smoothies of 3 12-year-old girls during daughter's sleepover. Yikes. I didn't even see that. It's crazy. NAACP St. Louis City chapter is calling for federal investigation regarding a racist incident at Missouri Central Bus Company. The organization says an employee experienced a hate crime on the job. We do believe the noose was put there as a threat, which would constitute it to be a hate crime under federal law, and we do intend to contact federal authorities, says President Adolphus Pruitt. Now, here's the thing. Remember when this happened with NASCAR and Bubba, and it happened just to be a garage door pole? I'm not saying that's what this was, but I am going to say this. In a lot of these types of incidents, who it turns out to be the culprit is typically the so-called victim. And it doesn't matter whether it's from the right, whether it's from the left. I mean, for goodness sake, we've seen churches burned down by white folks to blame black folks. And that's happened not real awful long ago. I mean, within the last, 15 years, I'd be comfortable saying. I remember seeing stories about that. So, I'm just saying, I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm not trying to make excuse, because I absolutely cannot stand discrimination. I cannot stand racism. But I also know how much people starve for attention today. And they will stop at nothing to get it, or to push their own personal agenda. Says a third party has been brought in to investigate the matter. Mechanic Jerry Ellis was interviewed by the independent investigators. They questioned me on the terms of, do we use rope in the shop, says Ellis. Come on, guys, the shop is full of motor oil. You don't have a perfectly white rope laying on the floor. Ellis tells First Alert 4 that the company is also sending buses out with bad brake parts to transport St. Louis public school students. Don't put a cost on life, says Ellis. That's been my fear every day. This guy was going to send a defective bus out on the streets. That individual that tried to hide or dispose of the spindle is still working in the same capacity at the Missouri Central Maintenance Facility, Pruitt said. I want to be able to lay down at night and know that I did my job right, and I don't have to worry about a bus tipping over, says Ellis. On Tuesday, a spokesman for the bus company denied those allegations and said safety protocols are a top priority. We transport kids. We have employees on these buses. Absolutely, we take safety very seriously. Buses are inspected every day by drivers, says Scott Allen with the Missouri Central. Now, understand that the drivers aren't inspecting the brakes, or they're not inspecting wheel spindles when they do their inspections. They are literally doing a walk around, right? That's it. Making sure that the lights work, the tires have air in them, stuff like that. They are not doing a mechanical inspection. So, and I will say this. Bus companies are well known for sending out dangerous buses. That's not anything new. Not anything new at all. In fact, St. Louis, some of the bus companies in St. Louis have been under some pretty big heat over that nonsense. St. Louis Public Schools released the following statement to First Alert 4. The safety of our students is the number one priority of St. Louis Public Schools, and we expect our vendors to share this priority. We have contracted with Missouri Central to provide transportation services for our students, and we are adamant about their responsibility to ensure every child placed in their care is safe and secure at all times, Anything less than this standard is unacceptable. While we do not have control over operations or personnel matters at Missouri Central, it is our hope that the internal conflict and what appears to be serious issues in their workplace environment can be resolved. SLPS remains hopeful that all parties can come together in good faith and stay focused on our shared commitment to serve the children of the city of St. Louis. The well-being of our students is not negotiable, and they should never be affected by disagreements or disputes among adults. One of SLPS's core values is the maintenance of a safe and inclusive workplace for people of all backgrounds and races. We expect the same dedication to this principle from our vendors, which sounds like an official statement to me. You know, call up your lawyer, have them write a statement for you. What it sounds like to me. Anywho, have a sip of coffee, couple of vapes, read through the headlines, and run out the back door. Oh, man. Another day. Yeah, like Kevin said here. My thingy's not working. I hate it when my thingy doesn't work. Yeah, my thingy here. Otherwise, I'd put your comment up on the screen. It says, yet school buses, Kevin Sawyer said, yet school buses don't have seat belts for children. Right. But, I don't know. I don't know that would necessarily help a whole lot. That's an awful big vehicle. Buses don't typically get pushed around much unless they get hit by another bus or a semi or something like that. So, I don't know if that would be a benefit or if it would cause more harm in that particular case. Because if a bus is tipped over, that's a hell of a lot of people to try to get unbuckled from those seat belts. And seat belts often cause a problem when there's weight on them. Whenever, like if a vehicle's upside down or whatever, it's much harder to get that seat belt buckle undone when there's tension on that seat belt. So, I don't know if that would be much of a benefit. That's why on the little tools that you get to put in your glove compartment and stuff, you got a seatbelt cutter, because it's not uncommon for a seatbelt not to want to let loose when you're in an accident. So I would say that's probably the reason why buses don't have seatbelts, because it would be more of a hazard than it would be a help. So that would be my guess. Let's see. That'd be like a motorcycle. If you put a seatbelt on a motorcycle, that would make that thing. I mean, pretty much everybody that wrecked on a motorcycle would die, or at least have serious injuries if they were buckled to that seat. I took a motorcycle safety course when I was 17. The reason why is because I had a Yamaha 400 when I was 17, and in the state of Illinois, you can't have a bike that big until you turn 18, unless you take a motorcycle safety course. And again, I had a Yamaha 400, so I took the motorcycle safety course so I could ride it. And even in that safety course, they talked about and instructed us about surfing the motorcycle. If your bike goes over and there's any way you can get on top of the bike and ride the bike, surf the bike, that's absolutely what you should do. If you were strapped onto the seat, that wouldn't even be possible. So, because I've heard that argument too about, seatbelts and motorcycles. No. And even the helmet thing is debatable. I would say if you're going to be on the highway, absolutely a helmet. If you're going to be in town, absolutely not. But that's just my opinion on that. Of course, you have to pay attention to whatever your state laws are. Illinois doesn't have a helmet law, but I think Missouri does. Let's see. Britain, most hostile state to Russia, says former defense minister. UK weighs in on Luftwaffe leak. Not bank, leak. I don't know how the hell I got bank out of that. Russian defenses repel multiple Ukrainian drone attacks overnight, says officials. Parroting Putin leaves Lithuanian PM red-faced. Women could turbocharge global economy, says World Bank. Sounds like a sexist statement to me. Ukraine using chemical warfare agents, says Moscow. EU nation celebrates Liberation Day with Russia. BRICS to create blockchain-based payment system, says Putin aide. International Weightlifting Federation in crisis, says Russia. Macron explains NATO troop in Ukraine remark. NATO troops, plural, not just one. Greenland women sue Denmark over birth control experiment, says media. North Korea condemns latest U.S.-South Korea drills. Huh? Oh. Mute. What about mute? I'm not mute. Are you mute? Pentagon leaker agrees to 16-year prison sentence. Germany urged to boost security after Crimean bridge attack leak, says Bloomberg. I know I'm not muted because I see the little volume thing going up and up and up and up. That's how I know. That's the output. So if I'm outputting there, I'm outputting to you, unless YouTube screwed up. Let's see. North Korea condemns latest U.S.-South Korea drills. Oh, wait, I already said that. Tucker Carlson. Oh, I read that article. Musk loses title of world's richest man, says Bloomberg. That's like a yo-yo. It keeps going back and forth. Let's see. South African president's son hails incredible business opportunities in Russia. China unveils ambitious economic goals. EU nation's PM posts proof that she doesn't eat Russians for breakfast. That's good to know. Germany reveals how Crimean bridge attack call was leaked. 'Cause you're idiots? U.S. could ban state oil sales to China, says Bloomberg. They could, but will they? IOC issues arrest warrants for top Russian military commanders. EU molds using frozen Russian assets for military support of Ukraine, says Burrell. Western hegemony is over, says EU state leader. Trump wins North Dakota caucus. U.S. Air Force employee indicted for leaking secrets on dating app. Russia issues medical freedom warning to Germany. Media freedom. What the hell? Media freedom. Oh yeah, this is my video I posted earlier today about the Facebook outage. And like I said, the tornado sirens are being tested, and I couldn't go on Facebook and cry about the tornado sirens because I couldn't log into Facebook. It was horrible. German chancellor doesn't like... I just can't read anymore. German chancellor doesn't look like a leader, says ex-NATO boss. Russia now fourth largest agricultural exporter, says Putin. West tried to derail World Youth Festival in Russia, says Moscow. White House toned down VP's Gaza speech, says media. Macron won't back Biden on Russian asset seizure. Macron warns against Western cowardice. Too many people watched. UK MP explains why RT was banned. EU countries' ambassadors have completely discredited themselves, says Moscow. America and Britain blew up Nord Stream, says Russia's top spy. Hamas responds to U.S.-backed ceasefire plan. Russia accuses West of election cyber attacks. Ukrainian HIMARS gets obliterated in Donbass. Zelensky would lose election, said a poll. Russia and China consider putting nuclear plant on the moon, says Roscosmos. Iranian spy on mission. Oh, I covered that. And let's see. Musk lashes out at eco-terrorist over power outage at Tesla plant. And then we have something up here. Ukraine fumes over Russian ballerina's tour. Oh, well, that's definitely a reason to get really, really upset. The ballerinas, they piss me off every time. Anyway, I am going to take that as the cue to get the hell out. I am out of here. I hope you all have a good night. I appreciate you coming. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow, and I hope to see you then. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit, and shalom.